since this is my era, is I am going to lay it all out for you before NWA. All right? It didn't just start with NWA. That would be doing an injustice to all that came before them. So since it was my era, and I probably have forgotten more than most will remember about the era, I am going to lay it out and try to paint a picture for you so that you may understand just how deep the rabbit hole goes. Broken glass everywhere. People pissing on the stairs. I guess they just don't care. Can't take the smell, can't take the noise. Got no money to move out. I guess I got no choice. Rats in the front room, roaches in the back. Junkies in the alley with the baseball bat. I tried to get away, but I couldn't move far because the man with the tow truck repossessed my car. Don't push me because I'm close to the edge. Now, this is the first socially aware reality rap record.
Are you trying to say that Tupac brought it into East Coast consciousness? Are you shitting on Tupac because he said bitch in his rhymes? You know what I mean? But he also said Brenda got a baby. He killed a whole lot of niggas in his rhymes, but he also banged on the crack in real life. He shot 2 police and walked.
I was in the Zulu Nation, Division 2, Chapter 6, and that was headed by B.O. And we were young. Before I was old enough to get in, I was in the inner city high crew because we was a little young. But I used to look out my window and watch the initiation process of the Zulu Nation, and it was long lines on both sides, and brothers had to walk through that line and get pounded out, beat down. There was no way in or way around it. You had to walk through that line.
Get into the teachings of that era. Get into everything that Farrakhan was talking about that era. Who Khaled was talking about, what Khaled was saying, what Farrakhan was saying, what Dr. York was saying. Stop being so goddamn judgmental. You don't even know about what the fuck was going on. You listening to other people who didn't even come out the house back then. They probably wasn't even alive back then. All of these people trying to expose, they wasn't even outside. I was outside. I was everywhere. They was never there. And that's a fact. And A. Rashid will tell you.
Hip-hop was no accident. They're sitting there waiting for us to give birth. Every single neighborhood that we live in, I want to paint a dynamic picture with this for you as well. Even though there's 2 dynamics here. The neighborhoods are so bad that you either succumb or you rise above.
This is New York in the 80s, man. This is what raised us up. That's why a lot of the OGs be mad at some of these people to be on YouTube running around in these streets, want to take their fucking heads off because they know that they wasn't around when this shit was what it was. Right. This is foundation. If you was not here, this is when the code was written for consciousness right now. If you did not play your part in this shit right here, have a fucking seat. You're a student, sit down. They can't talk about that shit. Come on, man. Come on. They were scared to come outside. All of these fake ass niggas, man. Dr. York and the Nuwabians, the Ansar Allah before that. Salute everybody that was a part of that movement. Honors and respect. Do you know who he was feeding? Do you know who he was feeding in the hip-hop game? Did you listen to the Nas's, the Jay-Z's, huh? Do you know who he's responsible for? Do you know who Farrakhan was responsible for? That's why you so fucking cursed as a people. Cause you shit on your ancestors and your elders whose shoulders you should be standing on. Astaghfirullah, man, astaghfirullah. You shit on the elders. They came before you and set this shit up. All you niggas got is YouTube or your smartphone. You don't have no foundations. Come on, man. Pay homage. How dare you niggas, man? I couldn't wait till this fucking day. How dare you niggas?
Peace and black power, family. You already know what it is. This your brother Sarnetta, the red pill, the black dot. Yes, and the KT, the arts degree. The red pill. He's filled with the spirit. You already see the brother going in. The black dot. is definitely going to touch on some powerful information. And we got none other, KT the Arts Degree, who's going to tie it in with the health, nutrition, and show y'all what's been going on at this time, family. Make no mistake about it. These brothers are going in. Alright? So, without any further ado, I bring to you my brother, your brother, the Black Dot.
Alright, here we go. We ready, man. Let's get it in. Peace and Black Power family. Welcome to another Sarnetta TV, House of Consciousness production. You already know we've been promoting this for a whole week now. I think this is very important because it's going to let us bring to light a lot of things that have been going on in the early 80s, in the 90s, and even up to date. We're going to bring it up to date. I got KT the Arts Degree in the building. All right, I got my brother, the Red Pill, in the building. As you can see, he getting busy. He working. And of course, we got none other, the Black Dot, the author of how many books you got? 3?
2. 1 was revised.
Right, there you go. So we got 2 books, 1 was revised. The Black Dot is in the building, and we're gonna decode Compton. We're going in today, family. And of course, Know the Ledge Radio, KT the Arts Degree, the Black Dot. We giving this up to our people for free. The House of Consciousness. You know, Sarnetta, I'll charge you $1 in a minute. I'll charge you $1 or $2, but I said, nah, we're going to give it to the people today. We're going to give this to our people, to our family. They've been showing love to Sarnetta Studio for a long time, brother. We got to show the love back, even though we get some some Negroes out there be hating. We're not going to let one rotten apple. We're not going to let one rotten apple spoils the whole bunch of the people that's out there that's looking for this information and this knowledge. So without any further ado, I bring to you my brother, your brother, Black Dot.
Peace, family. Peace.
Peace.
Much love and respect. It's a pleasure to be here, of course, in the House of Consciousness. Me and Sarnetta go way back. We both hit the timeline at the same time trying to raise the consciousness of the people. So I remember Sarnetta is the architect of all the promotion you see. All right, I remember when he had the VHS tapes out, and he was, hitting the peoples. I had the bullhorn going. Then he moved up to the DVD. Then he put the covers on the display. All of that Sarnetta. And I'm going to say this. I don't think anybody has raised more people or brought more people into consciousness than Brother Sarnetta. We know that. But we got to keep truth where it is and where it belongs. It's a pleasure to be in the building with Red Pill and KT the Arts Degree. These are master decoders who are going to help us decode this movie step by step. And we're going to ask you to be patient because my job, since this is my era, is I am going to lay it all out for you before NWA. All right? It didn't just start with NWA. That would be doing an injustice to all that came before them. So since it was my era, and I probably have forgotten more than most will remember about the era, I am going to lay it out and try to paint a picture for you so that you may understand just how deep the rabbit hole goes. All right? So I'm going to start with the message. All right? With Melly Mel. Broken glass everywhere. People pissing on the stairs. I guess they just don't care. Can't take the smell. Can't take the noise. Got no money to move out. I guess I got no choice. Rats in the front room. Roaches in the back. Junkies in the alley with the baseball bat. I tried to get away, but I couldn't move far because the man with the tow truck repossessed my car. Don't push me because I'm close to the edge. Now, this is the first socially aware reality rap record. It's not the first hip-hop record, all right? But it was the first one that really painted a vivid picture of our experience, not just here on the East Coast, even though it was geared toward the East Coast, because you're talking about pissy staircases and things of that nature. But this is in 1982 BC, and that's before crack. So to understand the dynamics of all that we had to go through, I'm painting that picture with Melly Mel's record for you because it truly changed the spectrum of consciousness and how we decided to operate on records prior to that point. Now, I'm going to go back a little further with the Universal Zulu Nation. That was the mighty Zulu Nation at the time. Before Zulu Nation, there was gangs everywhere. This is for those who don't know the general history. Gangs everywhere. Up in my neighborhood, all kind of gangs. Ball busters, black spades, or you name it. Gangs everywhere to the point, and it's burnt out buildings and gangs. So understand what the dynamics was during that time when Africa Bambaataa said, hold up. We need to stop fighting each other and use this music, all right, to transcend our people. So we say Kool Herc is the father of hip-hop in the sense that he sound the alarm. His parties in Cedar Park sound the alarm. But Africa Bambaataa presented hip-hop culture. The culture. How we transform this into a way of life. It's one thing to have music. It's another thing to use the music to elevate the people. All right. So Africa Bambaataa brought that. You got the 4 basic elements: the b-boy, the MC, the DJ, the graph writer. And he said knowledge is the 5th element. Now, to all my brothers of the nation of gods and earth, we know that knowledge is the foundation. Hold up. So knowledge is always number 1. But in this day and time, when we say knowledge is power, it's like we're saying 1 is 5. All right. So we had to establish those elements first. All right. And then Africa Bambaataa said, now we have to use this to bring ourselves into the knowledge of who we are. And the rest is history. Now, I was in the Zulu Nation, Division 2, Chapter 6. And that was headed by B.O. And we were young. Before I was old enough to get in, I was in the inner city high crew because we was a little young. But I used to look out my window and watch the initiation process of the Zulu Nation. And it was long lines on both sides. And brothers had to walk through that line and get pounded out, beat down. There was no way in or way around it. You had to walk through that line. And I was scared as shit when we finally got old enough and had to go through those lines and things of that nature. But in my hood, this is what brought us into consciousness. Big up to the nation of gods and earth, or the 5% nation at that time, because Rasheen was my enlightener, the first one that told me that the black man was God. And I couldn't comprehend that at the time, but as I began to study my lessons, that's the only lesson I truly needed to know, that we were God, having a human experience and things of that nature. So big up to Rasheen as my first enlightener. Now, I say all of this to say, when we began to use the music and we began to stop the violence, one man is attributed to that, and I'm going to say Africa Bambaataa. Of course, he had help and Black Spades and other organizations, but it was him who had the vision to use the music to stop gangs. Okay, so we want to be clear with that. 1982, right, plenty of unity. Right, 1982, Melly Mel from the Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5 drops The Message. And hip-hop as we know it would change, because now it's a platform that's used for more than just partying and things of that nature. Right behind them, now let me say this too, he was on Sugar Hill Records. I'm going to paint this picture for you as well. Even though Sylvia Robinson was the figurehead for that label, Morris Levi, a Jew, was the one who put the money up. Okay, so as we paint this picture, we're going to see these Jews everywhere. From the inception of the culture and when it became profitable for them to do so. All right, now I'm going to skip around on some of my notes because as the spirit hit me, you know, I put it out there. The messianic energy of music we need to discuss. All right, so there are those like J. Edgar Hoover who said, that they was here to stop the rise of a black messiah, and he had his eyes on the politics and the social aspect, but them Jews had their eye on the music and the art aspect, because it has been said that music would be like a new religion, because it is where we reside and our power truly exists. So we had them Jews locking up all them record labels, waiting. Hip-hop was no accident. They're sitting there waiting for us to give birth. Every single neighborhood that we live in, I want to paint a dynamic picture with this for you as well. Even though there's two dynamics here. The neighborhoods are so bad that you either succumb or you rise above. The Jews are only concerned about those who rose above that nonsense because you were the gifted ones, that they were looking to help transcend culture. So even though they fed off the carcasses of all those who died and those who succumbed to drugs and all that other stuff, that's not who they were after. They were after the ones who could survive and the black, you know what I'm saying, and rise above all of this. Wow, that's who we are looking for. All right, now let's talk about Run DMC as I begin to paint this picture as we get closer to NWA. Run DMC is significant because they brought hip-hop to a broader audience, okay? They were using rock music as their foundation, and this is what brought about the first disconnect with some of the pioneers of hip-hop because the pioneers were mostly using breakbeats. You know what I'm saying? And familiarizing themselves with breakbeats, and they had to come up through the ranks of performing at shady spots and seedy spots in the Bronx, Disco Fever, and all this kind of stuff. And here comes this group out of Queens, all right? And they're using more rock music than anything else. But remember, Rick Rubin, that's another Jew. All right, I'm throwing them out there as we lay this out so that when we paint the picture of who was behind NWA's rise and ascension, we can't just be narrow and point it at NWA. We're going to look at the whole scope of this. All right, so Rick Rubin, that was his vision. All right, now that led to the Beastie Boys, which allowed white America to feel that they could truly participate within our culture. Prior to that, they knew or felt that they were outsiders, but the Beastie Boys came in, and now white audiences, and the dynamics was crazy, because I was at shows that had Run DMC, the Beastie Boys, and Public Enemy, all right? So the Beastie Boys played an intricate role in allowing white people to participate and feel that this is a part of their culture as well. They moved a lot of records, but I never saw them as truly a part of my culture. I felt that they were making a mockery of my culture with their rhyme styles and cadence. This leads me to Public Enemy. And today I want to say it's the 25th anniversary of Fear of a Black Planet being released. And this album sold 1 million copies in 1 week. Let's take that into consideration, 1 million copies. So we don't want to say that conscious rap wasn't moving units. All right, you get those who say, well, the reason conscious rap died because it wasn't 1 million copies, and it's probably the greatest hip-hop album ever produced. You had Welcome to the Terror Dome, 911 is a Joke, Fight the Power. You had a number of songs on this album which made it an instant classic. No internet, none of that kind of stuff. It was pure, raw energy. So Public Enemy shows up. Of course, all of this is Rick Rubin. Rick Rubin kept calling Public Enemy for months, according to Griffin. They just kept calling, and Chuck and them wasn't really with it at the time. And finally, they said, okay, let's get it in. All right, so these three groups are very important as we talk about what was laid out. All right, so Run DMC broadens the audience. Beastie Boys makes it acceptable. Public Enemy revolutionized it. They used the platform to create a message beyond what you could, your wildest dreams. And I say when I make the connection between Public Enemy as being the most feared group, I say NWA was the most influential and profitable group. All right? In Public Enemy, you had the Visionary, the Voice, and the Jester. The Visionary is Professor Griff, hands down. A lot of what you heard being spoke about from Chuck D came from Professor Griff. Griff was not playing. This was not a game for Griff. All right? The Voice was Chuck D, of course. His voice resonated. It reminded you of a reverend's voice over hip-hop beats, but it was extremely powerful because he was operating from the throat chakra. And the Gesture, or the one I like to say, who kept the energy balanced, was Flavor Flav. Now, let's not minimize Flavor's role in that group, because Chuck D could get up there and start preaching and you be ready to leave, you know what I'm saying, because of his message. Flavor, the most melanated one, you know what I'm saying, kept everything in balance. He kept the crowd moving. He kept the show moving along. He kept the crowd smiling, laughing. Yes, he represented that Mayat energy and brought it. So we don't want to say that he was just buffooning, because he wasn't. All right? Them clocks, everybody had those clocks. So that was signifying that we're in a new day and time. All right? So we want to give Flav, and Flav was an intelligent guy. All right? You know, the gesture is usually intelligent, acting like a fool. So let's keep that in mind as well. All right? NWA had the poet, the producer, and the hustler. All right? Of course, the poet was Ice Cube. The producer was Dr. Dre. And Easy was the hustler. All right? And that was their dynamic when they began to come out, and as we move closer to talking about them. But I wanted to lay all of this out in reference to show you that crime and drugs and the murder rate in New York City been high before NWA showed up on the scene. Now, we on the East Coast, we were blessed. We had Frank Lucas. Yes. Oh, yeah, we had real gangsters here. All right? But what they didn't do was promote that on wax. Or real gangsters didn't want to be on wax. All right? They kept low. Real gangsters kept low. All right? So, this is something that we must clear up, because crack came through and ravaged our neighborhoods. All right? I saw dimes turn into duds in 6 months' time. Literally. I mean, bad chicks that just turned into duds because that crack had that kind of effect. I saw young brothers pick up guns that would never pick up guns before. See, drug dealing in our neighborhood is an institution. It feeds people and it kills people. It's a weird dynamic, but it fed a lot of people in our neighborhood. You can go back to Nicky Barnes and all of them who established real businesses. They went to church on Sunday. They tithed, but they didn't sell drugs to kids. They didn't shoot people who weren't involved with anything. It was a code of ethics on the streets before crack showed up. If there is such a thing, there was a code of ethics, all right? They operated differently. At 3 o'clock, they cleared the streets so the kids could get home. Yeah, similar how they were templating it from the mafia. So Nicky Barnes and them was studying how the mafia operated, so it was just a code of ethics. Once crack hit the streets, everybody got a crack starter kit, and there was so much money to be made that these guys who were not trained in how to operate in the streets were now rolling in so much dough. I mean, literally every 2 blocks. Yeah, right. When you look at, you didn't eat nothing, you had nothing to eat, you had no money, and now you could take this coke and cook that up, and that shit come back, and you chop that shit, and now you in business. But with no street ethics whatsoever. They would sell the babies. If you owed them money, they'd kill your family. All of the codes and ethics of what the selling of drugs brought about. And it is an institution. It's never going to go anywhere. It's been here because there's too much money to be made. And like I said, it's a weird dynamic because while it uplifts some people, it diminishes other people in our community. So all of this is going on before NWA. All right? All of this. We were fortunate over on this coast because we had so many groups that add so much diversity to our story. So we had Schoolie D. He was a gangster. He talked some gangster shit. Cool G Rap talked some gangster shit. But we had such a balance. So we had Brand Nubians. We had the X-Clan. We had Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. We had the Native Tongues. We had so much diversity that particular story of gangsterism, we accepted it because we knew it wasn't our story in its totality. I felt that they were before their time in the sense that they were wearing the comedic gear and talking, comedic information that not even Public Enemy was touching. All right? So they was in the meta and dropping it. And a lot of times you are before your time. We needed it, though, because, again, check it, say it again. Yes, they represented. Yes, they represented Dr. Clark, Dr. Ben, Sonny Carson. Remember, that's the son of my man Professor X. That was his father. So you know he was getting firsthand information on what our struggle was going to be and things of that nature. And they had a couple of, I think Karis, one of them had some beef about something else, but we'll talk about that another time. So we had such a diverse story to be told that we told our complete story. Now, let's get into Public Enemy again, because Public Enemy was the most feared group on the planet because they had the Nation of Islam behind them. Let's not get that twisted. So they didn't just pop up out of nowhere. Professor Griff is the truth. All right? And it's an interesting dynamic because he got ousted from Public Enemy by a Jew for talking about Jews, and Ice Cube left the group because he had another set of Jews in his ear. We won't talk about that. We think that he just left because the contract was wrong. That's true. All right? That's kind of true. But what's the one thing that breaks up all groups? Money. All right? So, now, early on, we in it for the love. It's 5 of us in the group. We want to get to the studio. We want to put out an ill record. We want to represent our hood. And that's great. Then we get on stage and start doing the shows. And then when we start seeing the bread, we go, hold up here. Because the manager, Jerry Heller, took his off the top. All right? I want to give this dynamic so as we talk about Jerry Heller, understand Cube used Jerry Heller to kind of truly bail, but he looked at the dynamics of this is getting split 5 ways. Hold up. I'm the key writer, right? Even though DOC did some writing and Ren did some writing as well. But Cube being the key writer, the owner of Priority Records, his name escapes me at the moment, the one who signed NWA, he couldn't really get no money because Jerry Heller owned them. So he got in Cube's ear, you know what I'm saying, and fed off, you know, the divide and conquer. Yeah, no, I'm not sure if that's in the movie. Yeah, he sat down with him and he told him it's nothing I can really do. And he was trying to tell Cube, you got to peel. So Cube used Jerry Heller. Don't get me wrong, that Jew was robbing people upside down. But that was the primary thing he used to bounce because he wanted all the money. But Cube come from a 2-family household. Cube was very bright and very smart and knew about money and economics, probably more than the rest of the group did. All right? Now, one thing Jerry Heller has always stated is that he honored his contract. And he's not lying. But the contract was fucked up. That's the key. Now, I want to bounce around with that because I released my first album in 1988. I signed to B-Boy Records in 1987. And I'm going to blame Karis One for me not blowing up because, you know, since we want to blame motherfuckers and shit, you know, everybody blaming other people for their shit. Let me blame this nigga. Because I only signed to B-Boy Records because he was on the label. You know what I'm saying? He had the Criminal Minded album out. I said, you know what? I want to rep that shit. So I signed to B-Boy Records, and this nigga made one statement that screwed me up. He said, B-Boy Records, you just can't trust. Making funky music is a must. I'm #1. So his ass was exiting off the label. So we put out a very decent album. All right? We was the first ones, you can look this up, to sample Michael Jackson. The song was called Darling Dear in 1988 between us and Dougie. Because Dougie released his song the same year. But shit, I'm going to say my shit was first. You know how that shit go, right? And that was produced by DJ Mark the 45 King. So we actually stole the record. Long story short. Our album was comparable to an 88 album during this time. We had a single, which was called Tall, Dark, and Handsome, off the Michael Jackson joint. You had to have a song about where you was from. We had a song called The Bronx Is Back. You had to have a song about the DJ, so we had a joint called When Money Is on the Mix. And you had to have some socially conscious stuff, so we had a song called We Don't Need Crack to Get the Party Jumping. All right? So... and we had some other joints on there, but the album was comparable to what was going on during that time. KRS One, we don't need crack to get the party jumping.
I'm saying, but saying it like that Was crack getting the party?
Yes, at that particular time, crack was starting to be everywhere, and people were smoking it openly in parties and shit before they got on their shit and started doing. So we were saying, we don't need crack to get this party jumping. You know, we're going to operate out of those realms. Now, I say all of that to say, the contract I signed with B-Boy Records, I signed it without even having a lawyer look at the contract. They gave me the contract. I took the shit home, honest, with my boys. Me and my nigga boo, we was like, nigga, what you think, nigga? We sit there reading. I'm like, yo, that shit look right to me. Right? And we go back up in B-Boy Records, Bill Camara, and them motherfuckers up there, and we signed the contract. We were 19 years old at the time. All we wanted to do was hear our record. And I'm painting this because I've heard the sentiments of NWA initially say the same thing. All they wanted to do was represent Compton and be Compton's heroes, and that's all they expected from their record. I can relate. Many artists can relate during that time because we didn't know about publishing and royalties. We just wanted to hear our record played. Now, when KRS-One said that, wherever I took the records, DJs would not play it. They looked at the shit and was throwing the shit into the crowd because it had that B-Boy record label on it. Except DJ Red Alert, he bumped me for 12 weeks straight on 98 Point Kiss, I think it was at the time. And it was the most amazing 12 weeks of my life because I was ghetto fabulous. And that's all I wanted, was to walk through my streets and the fellas go, yo, Dot Tila Rock, and all the legends go, yo, we see you, young boy. And I'm like, yeah, Special K and Keith Caesar from the Funky 4+1. I grew up with all of them. Busy Bee, all of them legends, Cold Crush. I grew up under all of them.
Can you paint the picture of the relevancy of a hip-hop artist back then versus today, where you were almost trying to impress the streets because it was reverse of what it is now? Now the streets want to be rappers and everything.
Right.
Back in those days, the street legends, they were so huge, the people in the streets were so
Yes.
huge that the rappers were trying to keep up with them.
Very, very good point, because nowadays gangsters want to be rappers. Back then, rappers admired all the gangsters. Alpo and Rich Porter, and they was getting so much money, they looked at this rap shit like, nigga, I ain't got time for that shit. I'm making so much money hand over foot in my neighborhood, I don't need that. So it's very interesting dynamic where now you got gangsters trying to be rappers. And let's point Eazy-E out. Since he was the gangster of the group, Ren was gangster too. And I made an early DVD with Rich from Underground, and I kept saying there was only one gangster in the group. And I didn't literally mean that. I mean the one gangster that was prominent was Eazy in the connection of things. But Ren was also a Kelly Park Crip. You know what I mean? But Eazy may have been the first gangster to say, let's get on wax. Let's do it. Take his money, flip his money into the music business. Now, I will say this. Alpo, from what I understand, funded a lot of LL Cool J's early stuff. You know what I'm saying? So you had gangsters who they didn't want nothing to do with hip-hop, but they had so much goddamn money. You know what I'm saying? That they would just toss money your way so you can kind of get things going. And don't forget the Queens gangsters, Pappy Mason and Fat Cat Nichols. And then was Supreme Team, and Russell Simmons was tied in with them. So a lot of money came, you know, in the industry through those doors and dynamics. So I said all of that to say with B-Boy Records, all I wanted to do was hear my record. So if they said that, I can relate. Just like all of us who was in the music early, we didn't care about making no money. The money portion came later. I will say this too. The record label was owned by Bill Camara, but there was always this Hasidic Jew up there. Anybody know B-Boy Records, you know what I'm talking about. He was an Hasidic Jew. So now we got 3 Jews that I've already laid out. Morris Levy, Sugar Hill Gang, Rick Rubin, Def Jam. We know Leo Cohen eventually became Def Jam. And then I forget the Jew's name for B-Boy Records, which is a small label funded by Rock Candy. All right? So I wanted to say all of that to say both groups neutralized for different reasons. Griff was too black, too strong. All right? He got outed for telling the damn truth. You know what I mean? Because the dynamics of what Public Enemy were doing changed. From what Griff told me, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, he said they had a game plan to come in, tear the music industry up, and bounce. He said they had a 3 or 4 year plan. So Griff is operating on that premise. So he don't give a shit about none of them. So he's going hard body, and he mentioned them Jews, and the camera was supposed to be off, from what I understand. He had already done the interview, right? And the dude had the camera on, or his recorder on the low, and asked Griff about the Jews, and he said the Jews run the industry. Well, whoop-de-doo. Tell us something we don't fucking know. See what I'm saying? Put pressure on Public Enemy. So, yes.
Wasn't that in the music, though? Wasn't these... what? It's not like Griff said something that was totally out of whack when all of the music was calling white people the devil. The music was saying that we God. The music was saying the white man is devil. All of these conscious groups that were out was still busting a gun. It wasn't like we were being censored.
Right. And which leads me to believe that that wasn't what they really wanted. They wanted to get rid of Griff because he was the visionary. He was the one that was plugged directly into the Nation of Islam. He was the one who had the S1Ws, and they was no joke. All right? So they needed to remove Griff so that they can get in Chuck's ear. See what I'm saying? Now, Chuck became in a difficult position. You came in with Griff. Y'all had a game plan. And now these Jews showing you who has the real power. Told him, nigga, you better get rid of him. Now, yeah, before we check you. Now, Chuck is in a tough position because the people now are dependent on Public Enemy. See, now Public Enemy's establishing themselves as an institution. So it's one thing to say, I'm just going to bounce and we can leave this alone. And it's another thing when you have young inner city people, because I needed Public Enemy. You know how many young people needed them, so he couldn't just back up then. And I'm only saying that because I'm not trying to throw Chuck under the bus. It's one thing to say, yeah, I'm a bounce. And then when you got millions and millions of people, you know, relying on you to bring this particular message, it creates another dynamic. All right. So like I said, Cube left for totally different reasons. All right. He made it seem like he was leaving because Jerry Heller was robbing him, when in essence he did the mathematics. And let's talk publishing. Dr. Dre produced everything. So he gets 50% of the publishing off the rip, right? Jerry Heller and Easy own the label. So shit, they gonna get 25, 30%. It's only 20% left, and that's gotta be split between 3 writers because Cube was not writing everything by himself. The DOC and Ren wrote some things, so Cube was not a dummy. He knew that this boiled down to mathematics, and he had to bounce. All right, I wanna talk about Tim Dog for a minute because he doesn't get enough credit when we're laying out the importance of his role in hip-hop. I'm gonna paint the picture for you. When Niggas for Life came out, this album in particular, Niggas for Life, has to be one of the top 2 or 3 greatest albums ever produced. You can call it what you want to call it. The production on this album was so dynamic, and the skits in between the album made this shit like a motion picture. All right? So brothers on this coast could not ignore it. That was my first introduction to what the West Coast was even all about. And the way they was laying this story out, niggas over here was shook. Even though our whole lives we had experienced similar situations, we became a little shook by how blatant they was telling this particular story and how much violence and rape and violence and murder that they was painting, right?
Give it time context of why they were why they was such a disruptor and so impactful. The youth of today might think that the artists of the 80s and the 90s were cursing and saying what they wanted and rhyming fuck with stuck and all of that stuff. Can you explain when NWA came with that profanity? Remember, as youth, we had to, nowadays, children don't, in this internet era,
yes,
your parents is cursing, you cursing, your grandma's ratchet. We were younger, you couldn't play curse words in the house.
Right.
All the corny, whatever y'all want
right.
to say.
Right.
Your mama will smack the shit out of you. Your father come home from work, will beat your ass. The neighbors will get in on it. It was not the same. The value system of family was not eroded to the point. Crack did not erode the family structure the way
Check.
it eroded it now.
Check.
Parents had a certain quality of life to them, and they upheld that. So I had to sneak to listen to Slick Rick.
Yes.
He was talking about Davy Crockett King with crabs and spears and Indian drums. I could not listen to Kool G rap in that house.
Yes.
I might have got kicked out of the house if they found Kool G rap in the crib.
Check.
So NWA came through and was a complete disruptor to the social structure of Black America.
Yes.
With the words that they were saying.
No. I like that. No, we need that because, and you can chime in at any given time because when you guys are building, I'm going to place it down. And he's very true. I couldn't even say dang half the time. That sounds too much like damn, right? I used to have this word. I used to say fungu. And my mother said, that sounds too much like fuck you. What do you mean fungu? You know what I'm saying? That was little code words we used to use and things of that nature. Now, with that being said, he's right on it. So even if you grew up in the most ratchet neighborhoods, there still was a code of conduct before crack came through and changed the entire structure of who we were. Let's be clear with that, all right? Now, we did have Lottie Dottie by Slick Rick. We had Treat Her Like a Prostitute by Slick Rick. We had Talk Like Sex by Kool G Rap. We had Criminal Minded, the entire album. The pussy is free because the crack costs money. All right? So we had that dynamic, but it was so minute and towards the messages we was getting from native tongues, brand Nubians, ex-clans. It was such a balance that we were able to put that and compartmentalize that particular aspect. Now, I'm jumping around. I wrote a song, and I have to throw this out there. It was the most ratchetest song you would ever hear. I wrote it in 1983. All right? And whenever I performed it, it was over. Meaning, if you came on behind me, it was a wrap. It was about a song called Joyce. And my old school people out there, Gompers, when I got on in the lunchroom and I was doing this, the cooks would stop cooking. All right? This is how dynamic this story was about me banging out this ugly girl and catching what I thought was AIDS. This is 83, 84, before Magic came out with AIDS in 91. I'm trying to show you how advanced this was. This was before Lottie Dottie. This was before Treat Her Like a Prostitute. This was before Go See the Doctor by Kool Moe Dee. And every label, because I was a part of a group, every label that I went into, they didn't want the group. They wanted me and that one song. This was in 1984, 1985 when we started shopping our deal. So I came before a lot of these dudes. I refused to leave my group, and I'm glad I did, because had that song entered into the Akashic Records on that grand scale, I think it would have changed who I am as a collector. Now, I'm a grown-ass man now, but it was so ratchet that I'm embarrassed. But I know it's out there, and as, you know, we continue to do what I do, somebody will play it. It wound up on my 1988 album, but that was, the producers screwed the song up and put a chorus in it and made the shit all Hollywood, and the shit was kind of whack. But I only say that to say it was a very thin line, so we had ratchetness in our music, but we had never heard an entire album of that magnitude. Now remember, the music is something different. All right, so Dr. Dre, like any other doctor, they prescribe you some shit and make you feel good, right? So his music made you feel good, but his ass forgot to tell you about the side effects of that shit. And that's what we got with the lyrics that went into that shit. So the good doctor prescribed great music, because like we said, that G-Funk music and all that shit that opened you up spiritually and all that old kind of shit, it was a rap, whatever they put on top of that. And what Dre didn't make a lot of fast music. Dre slowed that shit down with boom, 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 boom. So he mastered the frequency that would capture the most response from the people. All right, so that's what Dre did with that, but the side effects we began to continue to feel.
Red Pill brought flashbacks to me when he said that we had to sneak and listen to hip-hop. He's right, because Africa and Asante, my twins in there, I used to tell them, don't let me hear you playing that hip-hop music, especially with all the cursing and all that.
Right.
You know, that type of stuff. I used to try to bring them all the conscious stuff. They wanted to hear the nigga shit.
Yeah.
Because that's what their friends and everybody was listening to. So every time I would walk towards their room, I hear my daughter saying, cock-a-doodle-doo, cock-a-doodle-doo. Cock-a-doodle-doo, cock-a-doodle-doo. So I'm like, why the hell do you keep saying cock-a-doodle-doo?
Check.
That's what she would say one time. Cock-a-doodle-doo.
One time.
Why do you keep saying that? And she just laughed and smiled at me and walked away. And so I go back in the room again, and then my wife will come in the room. And you hear Asante, cock-a-doodle-doo, cock-a-doodle-doo. So I'm like, yo, I'm in the bedroom, but I'm hearing them.
But you're hearing them.
I said, yo, that's the fucking razor
That's the
call.
code. That's the code. That's the code.
So I go back. I said, yeah, I'm going to catch their ass. They think they slicker than me. He knows. He hear me. So I go like I'm coming in the room. Sure enough, here it go again. Cock-a-doodle-doo. I'm like, I grabbed him. Yo, what is the cock-a-doodle-doo for? I said, is that a raise-up call? Is y'all trying to tell him I'm coming? What's going on?
Yes,
and then they had to break down, and they told me,
yes.
Giving the call.
Yeah, well, for me, it was the Richard Pryor records. You know what I'm saying? It was the Richard Pryor records where you sit down, that motherfucker curse every 3 seconds, right? So the Richard Pryor records really opened me up to a whole different particular dynamic. So back to fuck Compton. At this particular point, brothers over here were in shock from Niggas for Life. It was so dynamic and so ratchet at the same time that it bust open a different vortex that we had not priorly experienced. My man Tim Dog, who I went to high school with, got on his record and said, fuck Compton. And immediately for me, I'm going to be honest, the shit broke the spell. You know how you under some kind of spell and somebody just got to trigger the words? And he said, fuck Compton. He should have probably said, fuck NWA. You don't like say fuck a whole damn city and shit. A whole, country and shit or something, whatever. You don't do that. But he did. Because of the frustration over here with all the record labels saying every time he was shopping his deal, I want NWA. I'm looking for NWA. We're looking for gangbangers. We're looking for all of this shit that he went home frustrated, just like Cube went home frustrated after being assaulted by the police a number of times and decided to come up with fuck the police. All right, and I already talked about the dynamic between Public Enemy saying fight the power and NWA saying fuck the police. It's the same message. It's just different variations of the same message because Professor Griffin knew how deep the rabbit hole goes in terms of white supremacy and how, further up when the most ratchet aspects of things was NWA who dealt with the ratchetness. No, you better come over here. Give me some love. Come over here and give me some love for my man. This is my dude here. Don't be trying to duck my cameras. It's all good. You all right? All right. I'm going to say a couple of bad things, but don't worry about it. All right?
Who's your favorite rapper today?
Oh, that's my man. Oh, you getting whatever you want when I leave here.
That's right.
You getting whatever. So Tim Dog releases F Compton. And it immediately broke the spell on the East Coast. A lot of people snapped right out of it because as we began to tour the world, the audiences, and I'm going to release those tapes one day, massive stadium audiences of people jumping and we saying, fuck Compton. And so he began to break the spell initially. There may have been an East Coast, West Coast thing if Tim had more product to kind of substantiate. I was laying in the cut ready for the next song on because I was the lyricist. Tim wasn't the lyricist. And I don't think NWA wanted to see me at that particular time. You see what I'm saying? And that's why Tim, when he started doing his show, he came to get me to pump his shows up and do what I do. 1991, we're on the plane on our way to London to perform when Rodney King, the verdict came down. This is Rodney King verdict is very critical because we're seeing the same things take place today. But that was the first time that we had got that type of visual evidence where the world could see what we were going through. And it was so dynamic that it was no way that they was going to beat this case, right? And they beat the goddamn case. And everybody went wild over here. So I was over in London when LA began to turn up. So I always want to put Tim Dog into the equation. And I remember once in San Francisco when he was over there performing and the DJ put on his Fuck Compton record and they threw the DJ off the goddamn balcony. Just threw this nigga off the fucking balcony, and Tim was cornered in the kitchen of the club, and these gangbangers was about to move on Tim hard body until Tupac showed up and pulled the ratchet on these niggas and got these niggas off Tim, and Tim never forgot that. And that's important because it lets you know that Tupac was thorough. Remember, Tupac was from the East before he went West. He's the link between the East and the West. He that link. All right, so Tim Dog, I want to put him in the Akashic Records because he's passed on recently. But I want to let you know that that's what broke the spell for me. So when he called me to go on tour with him to say, fuck Compton, man, we tore cities down. All right, and like I said, I will release the tapes. And we got busy on all them. And Tim just kept saying, you know, he went in fighting over colors, all this gang shit's for dumb motherfuckers. He didn't understand the dynamics that gangs are not based on colors per se. It's a deeper dynamic behind it. But on the surface, y'all talking about gangbanging, we don't understand that shit. We don't understand fighting over colors. And he said, Dre beating on D from Pump It Up, step to the dog, you get fucked up. So he was immediately addressing Dre's situation from throwing D Bonds from the show Pump It Up down a flight of stairs, stepping on a hand. So I want to address the sisters who, you know, they boycotting the movie a lot because of something Dre did 25 years ago. And I want to say this, and I'm not taking up for any of that. At what point do we say enough is enough? Like, if we don't have any record of him doing anything over the last 22 years, can we say or attribute it to some degree to him being young and a teenager? Because it seems like we can't let that go. We always quick to talk about when brothers come out of jail, they need to get another chance and all this. But yet, Dre has done something 20 years ago, 25 years ago when he was a kid. And I'm not condoning it. I want to be clear. He should have went to jail for it, but he had them Jews in his back pocket who understood that he was the beat maker. As I break down in the Matrix breakdowns, how Morpheus and them were after the key maker. All right? Dre was the one that started 3 different franchises. Of course, Ruthless, Death Row, and Aftermath. All you needed was Dre. And the rest was going to, because he was the beat maker. He was the one that held and synchronized that music and, you know, made billions of dollars. So at what point for my sisters do we say, all right, if he has a record of the last 20 years of no domestic abuse, and you know he ain't been putting out no ratchet music. Shit, I've been waiting on the fucking Detox album for 15 years. So you know he ain't putting out no ratchet music out. And like I said, I don't want to belittle or downplay what he's done to Miss Chalet as well. You know what I'm saying? Who he has a child by. But we can't have it both ways. We can't say young brothers need a second chance for mistakes they made 20 years ago. But Dr. Dre doesn't deserve a second chance if his record has been clean over the last 20 or so years. So I want to throw that out there. And like I said, the backdrop to NWA, don't forget, we had the CIA, Iran-Contra, which I'm sure the brothers will get into, Oliver North, and Freeway Ricky Ross. All right? These were the backdrops for what gave NWA a platform. Because remember, music is the soundtrack to our lives. All right, go back to the 70s. There was always music that reflected what we were going through. Even in the 80s, that music reflected what we were going through. Public Enemy, again, I keep referring back to that because they represented the fear of a black planet because they were organized. NWA represented chaos. So you had organized and you had the chaos, or order and chaos, with these particular 2 groups. And we have to keep connecting them because they are connected at the hip based on them using the energy of NWA to kind of counter what was going on over here. Now I'm going to tell you, go ahead.
When did the hip-hop police was born? When was the hip-hop police was born?
And why and for what purpose?
Okay, that came about, in my humble opinion, in the 90s, when they began to see the power of how much money was being made in hip-hop and how the brothers were beginning to clean their money up through hip-hop to establish organized establishments, which has been going on with the mob, the Jewish mob, the Italian mob for years. See, brothers began to get wise on how to clean their money up, and so hip-hop being a threat in terms of them still looking for the Messiah. Don't forget that. All right? These Jews understand things. So while J. Edgar Hoover and them was waiting for Malcolm and the Messiah to rise through there, these Jews kept the gateways to the artistic realm guarded very closely because they knew we would manifest through there. All right? Fucking 50 Cent gets shot 9 times and live. Shit, he might be the Messiah, according to them. You know what I mean? So they pay close attention. This shit, Tupac fucking...
Found the Messiah.
Okay, we're going to get into that.
I would say he identified himself.
Fucking Tupac
Tupac
gets shot on a Friday, let's say. On Monday, this nigga's in court in front of the judge in his fucking wheelchair. That's the Masonic energy. So they were constantly waiting and watching because we have that immortal gene. And that immortal gene within us can manifest through so many different realms. So they began to guard all of the gateways in hip-hop. And again, the extortion aspect of hip-hop. A lot of money being made. All right? Real gangsters, too, was coming in. So as I talk about the underground in my new book, which I'm going to close out with this particular portion, is... when we speak underground, a lot of niggas think we talking Illuminati and Baphomet and all that. That has its place. The real underground was those real gangster niggas who knew all these rappers was phony. And now there's a legit way for me to extort these niggas. You know what I'm saying? By no-fly zones and the safety protection you need when you come to my city. And so we began to organize on levels through the music that made the FBI and them very uncomfortable because the music represents the voice, and behind the scenes we're generating money. We got guns, we trafficking narcotics from place to place. So they had to bring in the police that look just like you. They're in the club popping bottles like you, and as soon as you leave the club, they pull you over because they know you had 9 drinks. You see what I'm saying? And then they started taking a lot of them dudes and saying, listen, we need you to start infiltrating what's really going on. So we have a lot of that in hip-hop, a lot of snitches going on. I don't want to get into details with that. But I wanted to paint this scene for you about NWA didn't just show up and decide that they want to fuck over conscious music. They wanted to have their voices heard in their community, and it blew up so fast because they began to represent a voice. Remember, and I want to say this too, over here on the East Coast, you couldn't sound like anybody else. It was against hip-hop law. You know, we had the saying you was down by law. In order to be down by law, you had to make sure you sound like nobody else. So you had to come out and fill a void that wasn't being filled by these rappers before us to even accept you. NWA didn't sound like anything we had ever heard before.
Can you explain how they were underground and not, because people might think that it was mad commercial?
No, they were moving units. Right. They were moving units underground before anybody had even heard of them. All right, so one man's hero is another man's villain. I gotta paint that picture too because over on the West, NWA was the shit. Hands down, they had all the backing from all them OG gangsters that they needed because now they had their own voice. It's very frustrating to have to wait for the East to drop some music and all of these different dynamics of MCs and the culture that we had here, and you don't have a voice of your own. So they finally had a voice of their own, and they got behind them, and their first 2 or 3 albums didn't really surface until they started saying fuck the police. All right, and that brought about a universal message because being harassed by the police is also a part of our culture. All right, so that became the universal message. That's why they harped on that in the movie. They kept showing you the police brutality and the police harassment because that's something that's integral to who we are as a collective. All right, so they kept showing you that so that you could automatically feel sympathy and you can relate, all right, to what was going on. So I want to be clear with that. I want to talk about my book because my book, Urban Culture Decoded, a critical analysis into the physical, mental, and spiritual state of a new generation, is the movie. As Brother Red Pill will break down for you, as he's read half the book already, it's the movie. It's what brought about a new generation of brothers who became rebellious in every sense of the word, who were not with the conformity, all right? When you telling young people to go get a job and all that conformity shit that they know is bullshit. So NWA was intricate in breaking with the norm, and they broke against conformity and gave it to you as they had Dolores Tucker on their ass. They had the FBI on their ass. So don't tell me that this was just some niggas spitting vulgar lyrics. Yes, some of the lyrics were extremely vulgar. But to me, the crack era produced more bitches and hoes than you could possibly imagine. That's what, you see what I'm saying? It became when prior to the crack era, we all respected women to a certain degree because of how they conducted themselves. That crack came in and women started doing things that were embarrassing. Something strange for a piece of change. And understand these young brothers, their first probably interaction with women was crackhead women. Because now crack came in and young hustling niggas had jobs now and they began to hit the streets and their interaction was with these women who had no respect for themselves. So that began to manifest in the music. All right? So my book, Urban Culture Decoded, is going to go in depth. We have a nation of young brothers and sisters who would rather live 5 years high on a hog than to live 40 years working for a slave. They're not built for that. They're hardwired differently. And we can attribute a lot of that to NWA and how they brought their message about. So as we go into, the brothers are going to go into the movie aspect. I wanted to paint some clear pictures of what the backdrop to NWA was before we just come out and say NWA fucked everything up. And when we say that, we also let white people off the hook. When we say NWA fucked up hip-hop and brought about, you are allowing white people to wash their hands as usual. Their hands are clean because our target is NWA. You know who killed conscious music? We did. Because we stopped buying the shit. We stopped supporting their hands down. You can say whatever you want. We stopped supporting our artists over here. And we got into the Ghetto Boys. Because remember, these were fantastic stories. You know what I'm saying? That were intriguing us. And it intrigued white America. Let's not forget, the biggest supporters of NWA early on was white America. Because they wanted to get close to what was going on, but not that close. So their first window into what was going on in urban America and these places was NWA, whose stories were so vivid, they was fucking movies. Them shits was movies. All right? So they began to support NWA with their finances, and like I said, they wanted to get close. So NWA almost represented the first reality show. All right? They were from Hollywood.
Because what did they call it? In the movie, they reiterated as reality rap.
Reality rap.
So out of reality rap, you got your reality.
You became your... And they were from Hollywood. You know what I'm saying? NWA. So a pilot of a template that you could take all across America. When they want to sample new shows and new visions, they take that shit to Hollywood. So they were birthed right up under the template of what Hollywood was all about. And that became the template that got you the Ghetto Boys and got so many other groups. And this picture became vivid. And we stopped supporting the conscious rap. And we got on the more theatrical, the more, you know what I'm saying, in your face type of shit. And as a result, NWA was born. But let's not downplay their significance in hip-hop and their significance in the culture itself. All right? Because it was very clear of what their role was in the movie. So I'll take some questions.
If you want to credit NWA, we can definitely credit them for opening the door to say what you want to say without being censored.
Right, and that's freedom of speech. And they played on that in the movie, too. You know what I'm saying? We want to say what the hell we want to say, or we shouldn't have to censor our messages. All right? Now, we had, like I said, we had never heard anything like that, so the shock value in it, but they weren't lying. This is what was taking place in their neck of the woods. Okay, so in their neck of the woods, we had a different level of consciousness here. Because we had the Nation of Islam, the Nation of Gods and Earths, and different organizations, you know, Sonny Carson, and then coming up with the Black Power movement, you know what I'm saying, Amira Baraka, and so many others, that we sat on the hub of consciousness. You know what I'm saying? I got my lessons at 12. My first name was Divine Intelligent Great God Allah. And that's because the gods on the Ave, yeah, I didn't have one of them long scientific, supernatural, you know what I'm saying? But it was Divine Intelligent Great God Allah. That was my name. So we at early ages, and over there, as I'm pretty sure Red Pill going to go into as he dropped on the street the other day, it was a whole different culture of how they got into any form of consciousness. Their form of consciousness was cloaked in ratchetness and busting the guns as the Panthers did. And so their level of consciousness was cloaked in something totally different. All right? Than what we were cloaked into, the Nation of Islam, putting on a suit and tie and being disciplined and how we operated. But the Nation of Islam taught us to respect women in a certain kind of way that over there with the pimps and hoes as a part of their culture, a part of their culture. All right? So let's not act like our shit don't stink, because we had a lot of that ratchetness here too, but we had never heard it delivered to us in that magnitude. Any questions?
Come on. Any questions? Go to the chat.
Go to the chat. You want to go to the chat? Any questions in the chat? Well, allow me to interject. I think what you just said was so critical to what we're talking about, and I'm glad you said it, because we only given our perspective from the overall information. Now, we do know Oakland has always been a place that had a conscious a hub of information that came out of it. It's like no place in the world, from what I understand. So I don't want to paint a picture that with a broad brush to say all of West Coast, but since we're talking about NW, right. But since we're talking about the movie per se, we just kind of focusing in on a little bit about NWA, and what we don't want to do is, we understand the residual effects of NWA, so I'm just kind of laying out the backdrop, but I'm glad you said that, because what I would like to extend is some of our conscious. Yes, I appreciate that message, man. Again, this is why I want to put that message out there for some of our conscious brothers on the West. We need your perspective. You know what I mean? It's important if you were in the trenches. So he's 36 years old. I'm 47. So I'm giving it from, you know what I'm saying, my perspective here on the East. We need some other perspectives, because we're not trying to degrade the West or paint the wrong picture. We're just giving you our perspective on NWA's significance. And I want to be clear with this too, and I think I'll sum it up with this. The group NWA and what they represent metaphysically is two different dynamics. So yeah, the group themselves, somebody had their hand up their fucking back, making them, do all kind of, but what did they represent metaphysically? What did the symbol of them represent that a lot of times get lost in the message? So we could talk about, yeah, they sold out, they in Hollywood. A Jew wrote the movie. How about that? So we got Jews everywhere.
Somebody sent me a message and said, yo, Star, this is Madden Kimmett. X-Black Dot. Not to forget how NWA played a role
in the movie CB4 by Chris Rock.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to leave that for Red Pill, because Red Pill is getting ready to go into a slideshow presentation for you guys that's going to delve deep into CB4 and a few other movies that were related to the same concept. Because like I said, there's only one true gangster, or maybe two gangsters in the group. The rest of them dudes are not gangsters, but y'all talking gangster rap. So y'all became not gangster rappers, but gangster actors. And with them Jews behind the scenes manipulating you guys to bring about a different message we still haven't recovered from. However, in another dynamic, they did free a lot of artists to express themselves. All right? Now remember, the Jew has a whole nother agenda. He knows who you are, so he must stay close to you because you're the real Jew. And he must stay close to you and perpetrate your life. So they have all these gateways covered in the terms of the music and movies and acting and fashion. But they're on your hip because they know who you truly are. So we got to be very close. And I guarantee everywhere you look, you're going to find a Jew. Because they have a separate agenda going on. So a lot of things that are destructive in the physical realm are opening up vortexes on the spiritual realm. We can never be one dynamic and one look at NWA from a linear perspective, because we'll miss all that is dynamic with them. And a lot of times you just be the vessel that brings about something that you have no knowledge of. Don't think the pioneers of hip-hop knew that this was going to be the greatest music in the world and they was going to have the greatest influence. They were just doing what they felt that needed to be done. And as a result of them living out their lives, hip-hop is now the greatest influence that the world has ever seen. All right? So with that being said, this is the Black Dot. These are my chronicles. This is my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Peace.
August 27th, if you're in the New York area, we're going to be at the Cove, 325 Malcolm X Boulevard, between 126th and 127th Street. I'm celebrating the release of the new book, Urban Culture Decoded, a critical analysis into the physical, mental, and spiritual state of a new generation. And I'm also celebrating my birthday on that same day. So you're going to get to see a different side of the gods, because we're going to be in celebration. You know what I mean? So if you want to come through, it's free.
You want to be popping bottles?
I'm going to be popping bottles. All right? I'm going to be popping bottles that day. It's free. The book ain't free. All right? So
Now, I know the champagne ain't free.
the champagne, no. The first couple of bottles, I'm just going to let rip. So if you're in the building early, you're going to get some champagne, some wine, some cheese and crackers, whatever it is you into. And we're going to celebrate this particular offering that I have to give to the people. And I need you to go to my website, Decoded, idecoded.com to purchase the book. For me, you get it for $15. You go to Amazon, that's going to cost you a dub. When you show up at the event, it's going to cost you a dub, because I got to pay for the place and all that kind of shit.
I want to share something real quick.
Yes.
What this venture means to us, you know what I'm saying? I will be hosting the event. This is our foray, family, into social events, all right? We presented the lectures. We presented a lot of things to the family. We understand the importance of socializing at this point. We want to get away from social media. We want to utilize social media for what it's worth, but we want to begin to socialize again. We want to ceremoniously celebrate each other. Yes. This brother's releasing a book. He deserves to be celebrated. We deserve to come together and to celebrate each other. Not at a festival where it's only commerce taking place. It's a marketplace. Not at a lecture where you only get 5 minutes to talk at the break. You get to wink at the lady that you're following on Facebook. No. We want to come together in a social settings the same way that our ancestors did in ceremony, yes. Utilizing spirits, utilizing drums, utilizing the mantras, utilizing the music, utilizing the attraction, the energy of the attraction when you have opposites inside of the building. You understand what I'm saying, family? This is magic. We don't have to keep this. We don't have to make this too difficult to think about. You know what I mean? We don't have to waste our time. Yeah. You know what I mean? brain, messing around. It's important that we come together. It's important that we network. We need socializing events. We need networking, mixing events. And the brothers and sisters in the West Coast, the brothers and sisters down South, the brothers and sisters in the Midwest, the brothers and sisters on the East Coast. Let's start doing that. Let's start celebrating one another. When there's albums that are released or mixtapes that are being released, even if a brother released a goddamn DVD, let's celebrate it. Let's come together. You understand what I'm saying? And the music that we're talking about, that we're breaking down right now, yeah, there are going to be a lot of people that have things to say about how bad it was and what it did to our people. But let's start having social events where we could play the music that's going to repair us. Because I got 30 years of NWA in my system. I got 30 years of the nigga music in my system. How am I going to detox? How am I gonna reprogram myself? We gotta come together and identify what this music is that's gonna help us bring back the 80s music, bring back the golden era. Let me hear some J. Cole, some Kendrick, some J Electronica, some Cy Rock, some Black Dot, some Twin Pillars. I could keep going. My segment is coming up. Our brother KT is on his way. I'm gonna let Black close it.
And I just want to add this. This event will be televised live by Outta TV. Right. So for those who can't physically show up, you can hit my website and purchase a book. So you're going to be at the book signing. And when you purchase, I'm going to shout you out live. You see what I'm saying? So I need all of my family in the so-called conscious community, all of our brothers and sisters to come out and pop off with us. You're going to see a magical event take place this Thursday, 6 p.m. to midnight. Outta Studios. You can log in live.
That's right. This will be live.
This will be live
Here we go once again.
streams. We coming through.
We can bring it to you wherever you at in the world. We're gonna be in your living room.
Yeah, motherfucker.
Yo, man, come on. You gotta let this shit play out.
Nah, we don't got time for all that, man. We gotta get right into it. How dare you niggas out here? That's how I know everybody's demasculated in this goddamn society right now. You mean to tell me you had a problem with fuck the police? We gonna get into it, man. Peace to the family. It's your brother Red Pill representing KTL, Know the Ledge, Outta TV, House of Consciousness. Shout out to my OG, to my elder, to my bro, Black Dot, the legend. Shout out to the young phenom, KT, the arch degree. You know what I'm talking about? Making me very proud, doing what he does. We here in the building, man. Y'all not used to what we do right now. I don't really do a lot of lectures, but I definitely had to come in for this one. I'm going to give it to you. You are now about to witness the power of street knowledge. I ain't going to say nothing to the chat, but let's get it in. All right? NWA Decoded. We're going to talk some real talk. I really don't feel like people who were not products of that environment, who were not even alive at that time, could say a goddamn thing. If you were not alive during this time, fall back. Let the people who lived in these streets and survived these streets talk to you and teach you about what happened, why it happened, the impact that it had, and what the fuck is going on today, and why you niggas are finding it so hard to tap into this energy right here that disrupted society, had these crackers scared of you. Like we were doing something. What was this? What was it? Yesterday? What day was it when we had, what was this? God damn. Somebody was, who was it? They were saying, why do white people fear us? Right? Why do white people? The question was asked, why does the white man fear us so much? And the brother was like, to keep it a buck with you, the white man don't fear us. That's the problem. That was Shaka Amos. Salute to Shaka. He said the thing is, the white man don't fear us. That's the problem. I don't come from that era. Okay? I don't come from that era. I come from an era where they crossed the street when we was walking down the block.
Where they did fear you.
They feared the shit out of us. I come from an era where they got off the train when we got on the train. Okay? You puritanicals back Back where you in your little comfortable cottages and shit, your Keebler Elf homes, you could be like, oh, he's promoting negativity. No, I'm keeping it a buck with you and talking about an environment that I came from where it wasn't conducive for us to be polite to Europeans and pilgrims because we knew inherently inside of us what the hell they did to us. Because as an 8-year-old person, like Black Dot said, I got the download that I was God and they was the devil. And the gods told me that right before we went to go rob white people. Facts. And I'm not proud of it, but God damn it, that's my life. All I'm saying is we're going to bring you up to date about what happened and who these people are and who they aren't. All right? All right, you see the thing, NWA Decoded. These are the new superheroes of niggas, okay? Because what NWA did, what the movie did, is it kept that nigga program going for another 30 to 40 years, okay? And if you don't step up, conscious community, or if you don't consider yourself conscious community, Hollywood consciousness, because there's some niggas in Hollywood running around giving consciousness a bad name. If you don't step it up and do something to circumvent that, then you're going to live through the effects of it for the rest of your natural life and your children's life. So like they would keep saying, the responsibility is in your hands. It's not about trying to, decode. What did they do to us? No, what did you do to yourself? Did they put a crack pipe in your hand? Huh? Did they put a gun in your hand? They might have influenced you, but I'm here to show you it wasn't just them. The Jew, the white boy, the cracker, the pilgrim, the one who has always been a hidden hand behind the scenes. Yes, he has his part to play. Okay? He's always has his part to play. And until we cut him out of the middle and remove him, we can never truly assess who's responsible. Check. Come on, man. Like I said, this is Flatbush, Brooklyn, NYC, circa 1990, NWA inspired, family. I lived that life. I was there, okay?
Yo, who that with the shotgun, holding the shotgun?
That's me and Blue. That's Red and the Blue. Because Blue would try to act like he was the good guy. Look, goddammit, we both was out there. But this is not glorifying violence. What you see here is a rites of passage photo, family. I was scared. If you look in my eyes, that is a look of fear in my eyes. This was me surviving my war. This is him surviving the war. We had to survive our war to make it here today. So how dare you talk about what NWA did? They got me here right now. They got Black Dot right here. They got KT and Sinetta right here. These streets produced us, okay? And because of what we went through is the reason why we're able to stand in front of you and teach the way that we teach. It brought Polite here. It brought Inky here. It brought Sarah Suit and Seti here. It brought even Valentine to talk about when he was in these streets. Stop playing with me. It brought Malcolm X here from Detroit Red and brought him to El Malik. Huh? God damn you Puritans. Look, this is inspired by the music. All right? I didn't need a lecture. I didn't need to read a book to know that my natural enemy was that cracker, that pilgrim. The music raised me up. Okay? I come from the golden era of hip hop. Lakim Shabazz. KRS-One. Huh? The Zulu Nation, they were my first teachers, and they were influenced by the conscious community who was influenced by the conscious community that came before them. It's a 100-year dynasty, like I keep telling you. We are living in a dream of Elijah Muhammad, okay, the trifecta, the Trinity, Elijah Muhammad, Elijah Muhammad, Marcus Garvey, and Noble Drew Ali. Everything under that's an umbrella, and everything under that falls, as Polite even proved, the Hebrew Israelites. You can't even exclude yourself. We'll deal with you one day, okay? But you got the Nation of Islam, the Fruit of Islam, the MGT, the Nation of Gods and Earth, the Rastafarian Naya Bingi, who was influenced by Marcus, MSTA, you got the occultic community, the metaphysical community, that's more of science. You can't run from it. So,
you got
the Black Power RBG Pan-African movement, and then they gave birth to the Farrakhans of the world, to the Malcolm X's of the world. So that was the music that influenced, that was the teachings that influenced the music that gave birth to the mind state of me being a black god, planted the seed. Now it grow like an oak tree could grow out a loose seed. You water it with the experiences of life. the soundtrack of life, which is the music, the movies, and all of that, and then you become who you are. So like I said, I was highly influenced by gangster rap, by dance hall reggae, because I lived in Flatbush in the 90s. I was considered a rap head. Niggas looked at me like I was crazy. What are you doing listening to rap? That shit is whack. We listen to Bounty Killer and Beanie Man and the goddamn dead, the real Gundoleros.
Especially in Brooklyn.
In Brooklyn and Flatbush. And they were raised on spaghetti westerns, kung fu Sundays, okay? This is Jamaicans that I'm talking about from the islands. They were raised on John Wayne, all right? Spaghetti westerns, kung fu, and the fucking Bible, all right? And then they came into New York and they took us from using knives and fist fights and bats, and they made motherfuckers grab Uzis and shotguns and handguns because the shower posse, okay, came up in Brooklyn and tore shit up. They chased the Americans up out of there with gunplay. They rose the motherfucking murder rate by 80% when they touched down. They were a CIA implant. When the JPL and the Ciega and all of that stuff, because the political parties used the street gangs as a strong arm. Now, as a result of that, the CIA brought the political parties into play in Jamaica. So the CIA opened up a door for the Rastafarians and the drug gangs and the shower posse and Coke and all of them. And I'm forgetting some of their names, Jim Brown and all of them, to come into the USA with the guns and the coke and all. These niggas was getting on planes with suitcases of Uzis and kilos. All CIA and sponsored. So while they was doing that to us on the East Coast, Freeway Ricky Ross and all of them was getting busy on the West Coast. It's all a government program. And you niggas ain't trying to put in no work on none of them. You know their names. We could Google their addresses, but you want to talk about what NWA did. These crackers was walking on Madison Ave, on Fifth Ave. You could Google them. Huh? They're live on Periscope, and you're not doing nothing. Okay? You won't put in no work. But these niggas is in a hood, driving by on each other, killing each other, but you won't put no work in on this cracker. And his hands is filled with blood. So yeah, this is what it spawned. I'm not trying to hide. I ain't no puritanical. I came up on Dr. Sabi. I was 8 years old at his feet. KT was in the womb. Okay? I don't know what none of these. I'm not gonna try to exclude anybody else. But my master teacher, my enlightener, was Dr. Sabi, barefoot, smoking a joint the size of this microphone, with a room full of people right there. That shit didn't save me. Okay, it did nothing to hold me when rap got a hold of me. When the 80s and the 90s got a hold of me, that Dr. Sabi stuff went out the window. It couldn't hold me. Consciousness. You think consciousness is taboo now? Let's talk about consciousness in the 80s, 81 and 82. You was looked at as a supreme lame. You was an alien to your peoples if you talked about healthy living, healthy food and all. You niggas don't know how good you got it. And y'all take advantage of that and you don't honor this shit. That's my problem with everybody that's out there. You have no respect, no honor for what we went through and what we put on our back. The lives that were sacrificed so your dumb ass could sit around on YouTube all day and talk about who you like a fucking homosexual. That's so homoerotic, man. You need to fix yourself, bro. You know what I mean? Always talking about who you like. 1 week you like one guy. The next week you like the other guy. The next week you like another guy. How many men? What kind of man talks about that? I'm not talking to you sisters. Salute to you. I'm talking to these guys because that's the majority of the people causing problems in the community with this homoeroticism about who you like.
Real talk.
Ain't about who you like. Who you gonna learn from? Do you sit in grade school and talk about you like your gym teacher? Huh? Come on, man. Wisen up. Pardon me, man. Pardon me, man. My young God is here. I gotta go in. This is what Compton was born out of. This is what NWA was born out of. If it wasn't Dre, and if it wasn't Cube, and if it wasn't Easy, it would have been somebody else, God damn it. Okay? This is the environment that it was born out of in the late 60s. Turn your computer down, because yes, I will be going in. All right? If you got surround sound, I'm surrounding you right now. This is Watts. This is LA. This shit look like bombs went off. Okay? Like I said, if you were not living in that time, kindly do your research. If you was born in the 90s, have 1,000 seats family. You don't know what the fucking environment was. You're looking at it from your enlightened or your entitlement point of view, where your mama buys you everything, where you're eating your fast food and everything. You get anything you want. You got credit cards. This is syrup sandwich, mayonnaise, roaches in the crib era right here. Niggas didn't have it so good, okay? You had to fight to keep your clothes on in these streets. You had to fight to keep your sneakers on. It was real in these streets. But there was a code of conduct. There was a level of integrity. There was a value system that people even cooperated by. You understand? There was a checks and balances in those streets. So as scary and dark it was, God damn it, I miss those times. Yes. I feel like an anomaly in this world that I live in right now. Why am I here? Huh? I feel like I woke up and this shit is Groundhog Day. It's the same nightmare back to forth, because the streets that I gotta walk in these days, you think this shit is blown up? You think this is a riot? This shit that I'm living in is a riot. The streets of today is a riot. The way Negroes carry themselves and these women and everybody, it's a riot. The devolution, they had the evolution conference. Well, God damn it, when's the devolution conference? Because I want to talk about you niggas, because we've devolved as a people. So we here to fix that. We're not going to beat up on our people because we have fallen, but we here to uplift fallen humanity. But you got to know your history. You have to know the climate. You got to know what was happening, okay? So they killed one of our brothers, and this shit blew up, all right? So the government...
Rodney King?
This is before Rodney King. This is the one that preceded Rodney King. This is the 60s. Hundreds of people, the Watts riots, 1965, okay?
Dr. King got killed.
When Dr. King got killed, they burned it down. Okay? When Rodney King, when the acquittal came, they burned it down. So when you talk about LA, when you talk about Oakland, when you talk about the West Coast, you're talking about an energy that is not of the East Coast. And it's a reason for that. There are grids that control certain kind of energies. They call it geomancy. Go into the teachings of the brother Noble Ampu. He will teach you about that. Geodetics and geomancy. The earth has grids. America has chakras and grids as well. So the West Coast, they got ley lines. So the West Coast deals with a totally different energy than the East Coast. Live with it. Okay? Accept that. All right? The same way that the Midwest has a different energy, the same way the dirty South has an energy. The down bottom, the dirty South, that base, that down bottom, bottom of the map, like Jesus told you. So that base, that lower chakra, that red chakra, they twerk a lot. They dealing with that base. It's sex, money, and murder down there. Okay? It's sex, money, and murder. A goddamn strip club is the club. That's down south. And they exported it now up to the north. But when I was in Atlanta in 97, 98, we ate dinner at the strip club. And there were conscious strippers in there. I'm telling on you. Yeah. Now, the Black Panther Party, a U.S. African-American militant group, founded in 1966 in Oakland, led by Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale, believed violent revolution was the only way to receive freedom, urged African-Americans to arm themselves. Newton was convicted of murdering a police officer. Okay, not talking about it, not tweeting about it, not pontificating, actually doing something, putting in that work. Bobby Seale, as a member of the Chicago 8, disrupted the Democratic National Convention. Not Black Lives Matter, not running up on stage and asking permission to speak, not playing games with these politicians and it starts to look like that you're not standing in front of Hillary and getting schooled. No, disrupting that shit with hammers, baby. Okay? Running up in that bitch and really having Europeans scared. Because one thing I noticed is, and I love those sisters. I love the energy that they evoke, because that shit, I'm going to keep it a buck. The one where they interrupted the Bernie Sanders lecture and they got up and they let all of the sisters speak. That shit brought me to tears. Seeing our sisters, our mamas, grandma, auntie, sister, Sekhmet, Kali, with that energy, I was like, God damn. Look at the power. And then when the sister had the mic, I was like, if that was a brother up there, the security would have rushed them. Right. There's a power in the black goddess waking up. They couldn't touch them. Couldn't touch them. It was on some old, look, like look, I'm mama. Sit your ass down. They was like hugging the crackers and schooling them, and you know what I mean? Like almost was breastfeeding them. Like, I got you, just relax. But it showed me the relationship that our black women have with white men.
Yes.
And then with white women as a result as well. They're very subservient to our women. So that brought me to a certain point. But the Panthers, though, they was putting in that work. They was going in and they was picking up them hammers and they was doing what they doing. Salute to the elder, okay? Brother from Atlanta just got attacked.
Oh yes.
All right? Yes. Representing the East Coast Panthers, that energy and whatnot. I saw his documentary, Daoud bin Wahab. You know what I mean? Yeah, legend. Okay? So this is Oakland, family. This is West Coast after the riots. This is West Coast after Malcolm got bodied. This is West Coast after they was like, fuck that, hands up, don't shoot. Fuck that dying shit. Fuck all of that passiveness. You know what I'm saying? Fuck that whole ass shit that you niggas is on. We going in and we gonna really disrupt this shit. We gonna challenge these crackers if it takes our lives. Many of them got killed in the line of duty. Many of them got their wigs pushed back. Many of them pushed the pigs' wigs back. But so what? If you're not gonna die for something, why even live? You're in war right now. What the fuck are you talking about? You're at war. Do we need to remind you? Do we have to do You're at War Decoded? Do you need KT to decode this shit for you? You're at war.
Let him know that's my father's first book.
Yeah, Greg. Yeah, George Tate, At War. You could Google that and get it on Amazon. Right. The poet laureate of Harlem. All right. So, after the Panthers were co-opted, after the Panthers fell, after the Panthers were infiltrated, after a lot of inside shit that took place inside of the party collapsed it upon itself. Because I'm not here to romanticize nothing, all right? You have the bastards of the party, okay? Click on click on this icon right here if you may. Yeah, that's cool.
There's a war going in South Central. Crips and Bloods have been warring for 30-odd years. One of the longest running wars in the history of this country.
I didn't choose my destiny. My destination chose me.
Now click on the next one.
I'm from Athens Park. Bloods. Everybody calls me Bone. I've been there for pretty much my whole banging career.
Shout out to Bone, he's a legend.
Claim the Jungle Stone.
He's the one that Suge ran over, almost killed.
Real tight to black.
At the making of NWA the movie.
Two different neighborhoods.
Remember, there was a blood sacrifice.
Athens Park and the Jungle are together. They're like our brother set. You know what I mean? So I've always bounced between both these neighborhoods. You know what I mean? And yeah, pretty much that's who I am on the streets. Bone from Athens Park. Or some people say Bone from the Jungle. You know. How old are you? 34. 34, but I've been doing this since 12 years old, 13 years old. I've been doing this day in, day out, year in, year out. It's been a big part of my life. Too much of my life, basically. And like I said, I don't know, maybe God has like a force field on me to even last this long, to be able to talk about it. You know, we had clothes and, you know, everything we wanted, you know. I didn't come from like a poor family, not a rich family, but if I asked for something, I could get it.
So it wasn't poverty that drove you into?
Oh, hell no. It was a choice I made. Wasted a lot of time, man. Wasted too much time. Wasted half my life. If I could have used some of that energy in another direction, I'm telling you.
Like I said, shout out to the brother Bone. He almost lost his life. Suge Knight tried to kill him at the making of NWA. Yes, there was a blood sacrifice. There was a body that got caught during the making of NWA movie, all right? A lot of people don't want to talk about that. All right. If you know Bone and you're in LA, you're a legend, okay? Because he's a legend. He is one of the people behind Training Day. He's one of the creative writers behind a lot of those movies that came out about the gangs in LA after Training Day. Documentary called Bastards of the Party, showing the conscious origins of what we know now as street organizations, Bloods and Crips, a global organization, or what I'd rather say, a global army, if used right, if used properly, okay? A standing army, red and the blue. Brotherly love overrides oppression. I was in Rikers Island in the box, in a facility called OBCC, okay? Which is the whole building is a shoe, which is a segregating housing unit, all right? I had 90 days for carrying a razor because I had to protect my life, all right? The Bloods were introduced into the prison system in 1997 in New York City at that time, okay? So to say that NWA directly influenced our gang culture or our way of life, that shit only reached us in 1997. We knew about it, but we were fighting off the Latin kings and the Nietas who claimed a civil, they call it the Crusades. The Crusades meant they had Christian houses, right? They had facilities that housed people who identified as Christians. I was in a Muslim house. I identified as Muslim. So the Christian houses claimed the Crusades, what they had to do to get initiated, like they had the beat down line for the Zulu Nation, you had to cut a Moreno in the Crusades. If it was a Christian brother, you don't cut him, but you had to cut an 85er, a Moreno, a nigger, and then you would be down with the Latin kings or the Nietas. As a result of that oppression, the Bloods were introduced into the jail system in different gangs and boroughs, because back then it was a borough thing. I rep Brooklyn all day. I rep Harlem. I rep the Bronx. Remember how that goes? And it wasn't really too much, or I'm Muslim, or I'm in a nation, or then this came in, or I'm God body. But initially, I'm just giving you that history to show you that spirit that traveled to help rescue people from an oppressive situation was the same spirit that helped found these organizations in the time that they were founded in Los Angeles. Okay? They were going, the spook hunters, Europeans, they were going through oppression of European gangs and people across the tracks and other gangs that look like us of our own color and complexion, and they had to form a unit or a gang or a posse. We call them posses in New York. They were gangs out there. They formed their own unit to protect themselves. Then they were protecting the neighborhood. Then they were protecting the young G's and things of that nature. Then that shit got out of hand. Go watch Gangland. The same story is told. If you get the Gangland discography, if you get all of those different, if you get American Gangster, they tell you the same story in different states. Stop playing with me. God damn it, with Larry Hoover, with the shit that went down with the goddamn GDs, the stuff that go down in the Chi, the shit that went down in Detroit, the things that went down there, it's the same fucking story. They started out socially conscious. When they say it on the film, they mean conscious organizations, street conscious. You are now about to witness the power of street knowledge. I don't want to, I'm going to slow down, because you got people inside of the conscious community they try to act crazy when they hear you talking about the streets, like you're embracing the streets, like, nigga, where do you live? Like, where do you walk out? You're just showing me that you're a fucking weirdo. Like, what are you talking about? Huh? The reason why you getting your information is because of the streets. What do you think the Nation of Islam was in? What do you think the membership of the Nation of Islam, the first generation, came from in body? What do you think the Nation of God's and earth and body? He just told you about the Zulu Nation. Where do you think they came from? Where do you think the GDs and Jeff Fort and all of them came from? What's wrong with you niggas, man? I don't belong to that section. Please stay away from me. Miss me with all of that. You could stay with all of that tree hugging stuff. You could do what you do over there, but I'm representing something different. I'm not glorifying anything. I'm glorifying black gods. I'm glorifying a goddamn caterpillar that turns into a butterfly. Stop playing with us, man. So this right here was formed as a defense mechanism. Then it got out of hand. The same story that you see is what? Drugs came in, guns came in, they took the top level of management out, they took the leaders, they took the brain trust out of the equation, the young niggas took over, young, dumb, full of cum, with guns, and that shit went completely to the left. And then you have ongoing civil wars taking place that will never end until a conscious organization or a street organization or some goddamn intelligent people step in and nullify that shit. And that's how it happens. That's called a cycle, family. Do your research. Stop going back 10,000 years ago in a DeLorean getting lost. You niggas don't even know what's going on today. You can't deal with today. That's why you niggas keep going into the past. You scared of today. Fake ass historians.
All right, yo, Brother Red Pill.
So we just showed you the Bloods. Let's get into the Crips. As y'all all know or familiar with, our brother Tukey Williams. Shout out to his soul and his spirit. Community Revolution and Progress. There are many different names that people attribute to the Crips. The reason why I'm showing you these images is to show you that in the inception, meaning the beginning, meaning the initial foundation that these gangs are built on, the inception of both of these groups were conscious, all right? Street organizations, brothers, a brotherhood, coming together in the mean streets. I showed you what Watts was looking like, or Compton for that matter, or LA post the riots, okay? Post the crack era, it was tore up like a lot of these urban streets are, like New York City was in the 70s when the ambassador or the architect of hip-hop, Africa Bambaataa, who doesn't get enough credit, who needs his own movie, God damn it, he shouldn't have to share any stage with anyone. Him and Herc need their own movie, and it needs to be 4 hours long.
Hell yeah.
Okay? So they came together, and then they went to war with each other. As we know, they were infiltrated by niggerism. I'm not saying that it was some lofty European that came or some Jew with a briefcase like Jerry Heller. They got infiltrated by the crack era, quote unquote, war on the black messiahs. That's what all you niggas have been infiltrated by. That's what your fathers and your mothers and even your uncles and your aunts and the loved ones, they were infiltrated by the war on the black messiah. It takes shape in many different forms. The AIDS virus was a chemical war on your people. What are you going to do about it? Huh? The crack was a chemical, biological war on your people. What are you going to do about it other than typing on fucking YouTube? You got to do something about it. So we're doing something about it. Dr. Sabi is doing something about it. Mama Pill is doing something about it since the 80s. Huh? And she still has to sacrifice. And she still has to suffer. And she still has to go through many of the things that our people that are doing something for people who are under poverty conscious. Okay? Because this shit ushered in poverty conscious. I'm going to talk about what poverty conscious is. You niggas think poverty conscious is not wearing Gucci, or poverty conscious is not wearing Jordans and wearing your own stuff. Poverty conscious is not wearing Versace when amigos tell you to wear it. You silly ass niggas. Poverty conscious is not supporting consciousness. Huh? Poverty conscious is not putting up money when Sinetta said, I need a crowdfunding, and he only got 1,500, and it's 70,000 of you niggas. Come on, man. That's poverty consciousness. But we're going to touch on it a little bit more. So this is what happened. Now you see the remnants of that. The Crips. Now this has gone global. Why did it go global? Did NWA make it go global? I'm not sure. Did they provide the soundtrack? You goddamn right that they did. But this shit existed before NWA. They were founded in the 60s. Okay? They were founded in the late 60s. So they had reign in South Central Los Angeles and other areas prior to NWA, Straight Outta Compton, and even Eazy-E with Easy Does It. All right? The Crips were not always the gangbangers they are known to be. The Crips were formed in 1969. Raymond Washington, a high school student at the time, founded the organization in response to the increasing level of police harassment of the black community. Crips stood for Community Resources for Independent People. It was styled on the Black Panther Party, which was formed 3 years earlier by Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale, further down the west coast of Oakland, almost nil. Tell your Crip superiors, that the original lessons have to come back. That's what's going on right now. They were founded on the Black Panther Party. So the Crip superiors, the blood superiors that are out there, what are you doing for your sets? We're the revolutionary Black Panther-like gangs in our community to protect us from police brutality. Show the fuck up. Where you at? If you combine this with the steady removal of social provisions and the marginalizations of whole sections of communities, it is not surprising that social relations began to suffer. The destruction of the black family is a very real phenomenon. It should be noted that during the very same period of the 70s, whilst black communities were being forced into the lowest strata of society, affirmative action programs were working a way to create a black middle class. Next. So we got to question all of these people who are leading gangs, who are leading our brothers and sisters into the grave, who are leading our brothers and sisters into oblivion. Give them the original lessons. What happened to that? When I was on the island, we were militant. I wasn't a blood and I wasn't a Crip, but it was militant. This is in the 90s. Then it got into the street. You got niggas cutting black women. In the face to be initiated. You ain't even put in no work on no crackers. I'm from the 80s. Low life DCEP era. MGP, Mean Guy Posse, Criminal Empire. We put our hands. I could show you my rap sheet. We put our A.A. Rashid, legend. Okay? We put our hands on Europeans, on pilgrims. That's how we got back. That was our reparations. Okay? When they got in the way. Now, everybody wants to talk about this music, this NWA and what Dre did to you and what Ice Cube, but you niggas never said nothing about Menace to Society. The worst movie ever coming out of the West Coast. This shit exported gang culture globally. This shit put you under the spell. This is the one that put your ass to sleep, that had you thinking that you was old dog. Facts. This movie was the primer. This one did it all. I'm going to show you what it did to you. Then they had a plethora of other movies. This shit did it as well. Colors was a fucking debauchery, all right? And that shit, look at the cast. I mean, come on. This one right here, but this one. And it had the music of NWA as a soundtrack. Remember they showed you how to cook up with Dope Man? Remember all of those scenes that you niggas have been watching religiously on Netflix and all of that stuff? But you motherfuckers want to talk about NWA? You want to cast stones and shit? But you don't know the power of a movie over a fucking music? You don't know the combination of the two? Let's get into it. Let's talk about the neurocinematic effects. In movies, we explore landscapes far removed from our day-to-day lives. So you think that you in the game when you watching Menace to Society. You coming from a middle class, upper class, the Europeans that watch our movies and listen to our music. They're able to escape, the lily white Pleasantville and take their ass right into the hood. That's why they love it so much. Whether experiences the fantastical adventures of Star Wars or the dramatic throes of the English Patient, movies demand that our brains engage in a complex firing of neurons and cognitive processes. We enter into manipulated worlds where musical scores enhance feeling. We enter into manipulated worlds where musical scores enhance feelings. So the NWA soundtrack, yes. MC8 soundtrack, yes. All of that Too Short soundtrack, yes. The whole fucking pantheon was inside of that movie that you niggas been watching religious. That is your Bible. Okay? That is your Bible, Menace to Society. Where cinematography clues us into details we normally gloss over. where, like omniscient beings, we voyeuristically peek into other lives and minds, and where we can travel from Marrakesh to Mars without having left our seat. Movies reflect reality, yet are anything but. Shout out to KT, the arts degree. Shout out to Phil Valentine, my master teacher. I dare you niggas to say something. Trying to talk crazy about the master teachers. Movies are highly complex, multi-dimensional stimuli, said Yuri Hassan, a neuroscientist and psychologist at Princeton University. Some areas of the brain analyze sound bites. Some analyze word context. Some of the sentence context, music, emotional aspect, color, or motion. So the whole brain is working. Everything is being analyzed. Everything is being downloaded. Everything is being contextually put into parameters where you put yourself there. So if you're coming from New York City where you living in a gang life, right, or the posse era where niggas walk down the street 100 deep, 80 deep, you might have got robbed. You might have got beat down. You might have been that little nigga who couldn't even come outside. But when you watch Menace to Society, you put yourself into this, you know, you listen to NWA, now you hard. Now you gang banging. Now you tough like that. Now your ass got Jerry curls. And you might even become a rapper. So you might start penning this fantasy reality on paper, and you may become one of these fantasy ass niggas. Yeah. All right? Or you might start walking with that bot with the ice grill and treating women all kind of crazy kind of ways. Because you were hypnotized. You were basically your subconscious, because I'm going to go in further how the movies surpass the conscious and go right into the subconscious. Yes. All right? So you become that. Movies are highly complex, multi-dimensional stimuli. All right? So many areas of the brain must also be engaged in processing those disparate elements. Just as many people must come together to work on different elements of a movie script, score, visuals, or costumes, he explained, so many areas of the brain must also be engaged in processing those disparate elements. So, what we're saying and what we've been saying, we don't get any response, and that shit pisses me off, is that movies were made by hundreds of people. There's no one person making one movie, thousands. We have to make our own movies, and each single detail has to be tweaked and brought in by one of us who are going to, the costume, that shit gotta be on some Tazariak Hebrew shit. Spike Lee, doorknob and all of that. Now I'm talking about, we need our costumes. We need the musical score to be superb with a Soul Messiah or somebody else of that caliber scoring the whole thing. We need writers. Some of the most prolific writers I've ever met come out of the conscious community. Black Dot, Phil Valentine, the God A.A. Rashid, Blue Pill. You understand? KT, the arts degree. We need our cinematography. Bones Malone with the pen. You feel me? Turtle Gang, Red Pill when I decide to pick up a camera. You know what I mean? There's so many other, A.A. Rashid with his editing skills. So where the hell are our movies at? Where the budgets for those movies at? Why? What are y'all waiting for? Huh? Y'all budgeting everybody else's projects, but y'all shitting on us? Y'all don't want to see SETI on a big screen? Come on, man. Playing with y'all. Y'all niggas playing. Y'all playing games, man. The relatively new field of neurocinematic studies seeks to untangle our neurological experience of film, and in doing so, learn not only the mechanisms behind movie watching, but also how movies might teach us more about ourselves. Thanks to new digital technologies and programs such as Final Cut Pro, researchers can easily create experimental films to tease out the science of movie watching. For a long time, we were stuck with 16mm film and videotapes, which were hard to manipulate and also expensive. He said they were hard to manipulate and also expensive, said Dan Levin, a professor of psychology and human development at Vanderbilt University. All of these universities and these professors, go ahead and research neuroscience, you pseudoscientists junkies who don't, you want sources and primaries, go to Google, nigga, go and research it and you find out what this is about. At the same time, new technologies began to emerge. He said, interest in film-related studies started to pick up amongst cognitive scientists. At the same time, new technologies began to emerge, he said. Interest in film-related studies started to pick up amongst cognitive scientists. Okay? All of these forces converged to make studies of the science of cinema more possible. Scientists first began investigating these ideas by studying viewers' eye movements and visual processing. Psychologists found that in movies, for example, people often suffer a phenomenon called change blindness, or the inability to detect discontinuity between visual details. Researchers would cut away, then return to an original shot where only a photo in the background may be altered or one actor substituted for another. Yet, on the whole, people tended to overlook these changes. The little breaks and continuities didn't draw attention. The little changes didn't alert viewers that something was amiss.
Wow. Wow. Yo, try not to touch the screen.
I know. Pardon me.
Finish,
click that one. Click that one.
Fingerprint all on the shit.
All right. First scene in the movie. All right. Click that. I think no. Click this. No, that's I don't think that might be Menace or that might be Drinking Gin and Juice. It's the same fuck. That's Don't Be a Menace. That's the same movie though anyway. Click that. Every element that you could think of niggadome that you're suffering from right now, that you try to attribute to NWA, that you try to put on them, they were responsible for some shit. Yes. Okay? They were responsible for some things. Yes. But these movies play a huge part in your subliminal programming. You have not exercised the nigga out of your spirit and your soul and your being. You need niggas anonymous. Stop playing. Okay? They talked about NWA kill consciousness. Why is it in Boys in the Hood and in Menace to Society, they killed the conscious niggas in there? In both movies, remember, that was Furious Styles' son. He got murked at the end. And in the next movie, he got murked at the end. Tupac was supposed to play Kane. All right? They killed all of the consciousness in the movies. Go back to those movies. In both Boys in the Hood and in Menace to Society, the conscious characters were slaughtered and killed off. And they let these niggas live. All right? They let the gangsters live. Okay? And even in Don't Drink Your Juice and Menace, they clowned the consciousness with the nigga who had the white girl speaking all of the deep words. Right. All right? This was a phenomenon, and they didn't necessarily do it. It came from the Jew. Look at this. Look at the scenery that you had to, look at the look, I went and watched that movie, Menace to Society, when it first came out. We shot the theater up. And we went on a train and was beating niggas up on the way back home. And we went to watch the movie on Kings Highway. Anybody from Brooklyn know that is an all-white area. Okay? And we was catching wreck. And I saw how it terraformed the mind state of the people that we came up. We used to roll 80 deep. Niggas turned into old dog overnight. Roll 1 deep, 2 deep. All they needed was their hammer. All right? That's when the murder rate started going up. Not because of the movie per se, but yes, the movie made that shit shoot up. Okay? But in this time of black on black war, okay, that was perpetuated by the crack cocaine culture. Nothing more, nothing less. It was off the chain in the 70s. We was knuckling it up. We was fighting on some warrior shit. We wasn't out there killing ourselves in a genocidal, holocaustic kind of way. Crack cocaine. If you niggas don't put Oliver North where he belongs, if you niggas don't run up on Jeb Bush and hit him with a bat, I'm not fucking with you. Make them pay for what they did to us. You understand? Find out the culprits' names and make them pay. Even if you got to get on your juju. First scene, I'm still on Menace. Let's go into the jacking scene. Huh? How many people died like this after this scene? Shout out to Cousin Harold, my man.
Hell.
Love to hear that, man. You know what I'm saying?
Hell yeah. Kinda fucked up, huh?
Crazy, y'all. That was too funny.
Oh, what?
Too far the eyes, man.
Yeah, he real fucked up, nigga.
Fucked.
I'm tired of him.
Get your ass up out the car, nigga.
Get the fuck out! Break yourself, nigga! Break yourself!
This bitch.
Get your motherfucking ass up out the car.
Alright, nigga, chill. Can't get out the car, man. Come on, nigga, something.
Nigga, don't make me rush you. Get your ass up out the car. Get up out the car.
Alright.
Get up.
Alright, nigga, I'm coming.
Break yourself, nigga!
Yeah, nigga, I got you all right. Get your motherfucking ass up out the car now. Bitch, move.
Shoot that nigga, Junior!
Nigga, fuck you. Ah, shit. Fuck you.
Oh shit, that's Kane. Hey, they getting Jack, come on! Oh shit, that's Kane and Harold, man!
What did I see? Yeah. So, his cousin gets Jack, right? His cousin gets murked. Facts? Cousin Harold, I was my man like that. Now, later on in the movie, this is what Kane does.
All right, bro.
So he sees homie at the drive-thru, right? And he jacks him. But your cousin just got murked for that, and you got shot up for that. So we talking about, what is that telling you subconsciously? What is that telling you mentally?
So I guess I gotta do work, so I ain't finished. I go up to be a motherfucking miss.
Turn that motherfucking shit down. Nigga, what the fuck you want from me? Nigga, you know what the fuck I want, nigga. I want your motherfucking Dayton's and your motherfucking stereo. And I'll take a double burger with cheese. What? Motherfucker, order my motherfucking food.
Hi, may I take your order, please?
Let me have a double burger. Some fries. What the fuck I said with cheese, nigga?
Light-skinned niggas be like,
Double burger with cheese. See, y'all made me shoot your stupid ass over nothing. Oh, what, you trying to get smart? Nigga, are you trying to kick some knowledge? Nigga, fuck that, nigga. Give me your motherfucking jury, nigga. Take that shit off.
trying to kick some knowledge, nigga? That's what Jay-Z said to Nas.
Your motherfucking shit.
Oh, you got a pager?
Better me than
On this scene. His father, yeah. So this now, all right. Now this is the opening sequence, as everybody knows. But this is your opening sequence to the movie. This is how it begins. So it sets the tone of the movie. It tells you this is what we dealing with.
See what's up in this motherfucker. You ain't gotta be creeping. I don't know why you trying to act like you cleaning up. Damn, I always think we're gonna steal something. What you want, dog? Go ahead and give me that OE. Yeah.
I'm gonna fuck with some of this odds.
Oh, no, boy. Oh, man, I'm from the old school, brother. Yeah.
You know to drink a beer in store. Hey, man, I'ma pay you.
Hey, look, bitch, stop following me around this motherfucker. You getting on my nerves.
You hurry up and buy.
Shut the fuck up, man.
Just pay and leave. Hey, man, I said I'ma pay you. Won't you calm your motherfucking nerves? Hurry up and go.
Hey, man, won't you go ahead and get me, bro?
I got your back. You get my change.
And won't you give my homeboy his change?
I don't want any trouble. Just get out.
I can't stand y'all.
I feel sorry for your mother.
What you say?
Nah, he did violate though.
You feel sorry for who?
I don't want any trouble. Just get out.
What the fuck you say about my mama?
I don't want any trouble. Just get out.
You talking shit. I'm gonna tell you I know this motherfucker. You got something to say. Hey, where the motherfucking videotape? Give me the motherfucking video. Give me the motherfucking videotape right now. Hey, nigga, hey, clean this cash register. Come on.
Next scene. Sam Jack. No, matter of fact, Sam Jack fast forwarded to the middle.
You don't do? I told you I'll pay your monkey ass when I feel like it. Better suck my dick.
Tad, what the fuck, man? Fucking tripping off us.
You owe me some money, motherfucker!
Hell no, but here you go.
Go down to the last one. The car. Yeah.
Look, I just don't want you to go out and do something crazy.
Don't worry about shit. I'ma handle this nigga for you. Yo, I got.
Keep in mind, she has his child in her stomach, right? He's going to kill the father of her child.
Well, what's up, homies? Hey, let's go twist this nigga's cap back, man.
Let's go, let's do this.
I ain't getting paid for
Brother,
this.
stop arguing. I ain't getting paid for this shit. Nobody's not getting paid, Kevin. We got a gang of shit in here. You gotta stop arguing.
Fuck that. Fuck the young niggas ready.
Every
Fuck that. We
motherfucker
got to break this nigga off something real proper live. Man, fuck.
And the baby saw the body. They made sure to let you see that the baby saw the body. Now there's the next baby. He gonna see the body too. So it started with him seeing the body, and it ended with him seeing the body. Let's talk about this shit. I'm coming at you niggas' Bibles. This is the nigga Bible, and I'm exposing it. I know it's hurting niggas.
Why is he talking about minutes?
Hey.
They go to conscious.
Thought you was gonna help out my brother.
My brother.
You lazy. Lazy.